Good morning, everyone. It's Sandy McClure out of Creede, Colorado. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have been blessed beyond measure by LifeVantage, I will tell you. And when I was in Nashville last month at a LifeVantage convention, I came upon a fine young man, 23-year-old young man who just really, I resonated with his story. And I had met him through my sponsor, who had just happened to meet, they had just happened to meet at the event as well. When you're around people, God has a way of gravitating people toward each other and putting you where you need to be. And Trey happened to be introduced to my sponsor, Vince. And when I was talking to Vince, he introduced me to Trey. And I said, you know what, Trey? He told me a little bit about his story. And I said, I'd really love to have you share your story in my product group. Because it's, rarely do we hear of 23-year-olds who've been through so much physically. So Trey, welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. I am so excited. Trey is originally from Kansas, grew up in a small town in Kansas, but he now lives in Kentucky. And he's got a story that's really important for you to know. Somebody in your life is out there hoping for an answer, praying for an answer because they're struggling. And that's about where Trey was. I'm going to let him share his story with you, where it all started, where he was before he was introduced to activation. And I know a lot of you, where were you before you were introduced? Go back and remember how it felt before you were activated. We don't ever want to go back there. Where he was, what he saw, what happened when he got activated, and where he's going with it. So Trey, I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for that amazing introduction, Sandy. I appreciate that. Well, I'll
Absolutely.
start before activation, before I even knew about LifeVantage or anything, and go clear back to before even knowing about health and well-being, etc. Because I was growing up, I was never really healthy, activity driven, didn't exercise regularly or at all ever. And going back then, I started having really bad, not really bad, but back pain and just real discomfort down my leg and my sciatica and everything since about 14, 15 years old. And never really knew what the cause of that was or anything. Told people and they just stretch, take ibuprofen, whatever. Just kind of like generic things to do to try to ease it because they didn't know either. And my dad, he had the same issue and he never really told me that, and in which he should have known. So it's knowing all of that now and really got into health and wellness and everything and started exercising real like extremely hard for like 2 times a day. And I did a program, it was called 75 Hard, and then did that a couple times over because you fail it and you got to restart from day one. So I did that continuously throughout a few summers ago. And that was over a span of a couple hundred days, I think. And I got to really, towards the end of it, I guess deadlifting and squatting and stuff like that, real heavy, not proper form, etc. I started throwing out my back and having even more excruciating pain, but I knew I had workouts to complete. I knew I had stuff to do. So I kept pushing through it and not paying attention and listening to what my body was telling me and just ignored it, put it off, did the stretching like I was told, took the ibuprofen like I was told, and nothing was helping. So I just still continued down that path of, I guess, ignorance and not knowing any better and still working out the same way over and over. And fast forward a little while longer, up until I think, when was it? I went to Wisconsin for work. So I'm a contract welder, so I kind of jump around is why I'm in Kentucky right now. So that's why I'm here. But went to Wisconsin and started working up there. And I met these lovely people that I stayed at the Airbnb for a while. And my back started getting progressively worse. Like every day, day after day, it just got worse and worse and worse. Like jumped the pain scale, and nothing I've ever felt, because I thought past was bad pain. But this is something I've never experienced, nor do I wish upon my worst enemy, because it was the worst time of my life mentally and physically, because I didn't want to go on any longer with anything. I really truly didn't. And feeling that pain day in and day out, not sleeping, like I said, continue throwing at my back and not paying attention to it. And I've got epidural injections, chiropractic adjustment, massages. Like I've done all this stuff. I've taken supplements in the past and everything, and nothing's worked. It was just kind of like a temporary band-aid fix, and even then it didn't take away what I wish it would have. And I'd say I was 22 years old, and it was about February. And I'm 23 now. So about 22 is in February, and it started really going downhill from there. I mean, probably about an hour of sleep at night, if that. And I wasn't sleeping in the bed. Couldn't sleep on my back, couldn't sleep on my side. I was sleeping on the floor on my stomach. That's all I could do. My the pain was just excruciating. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get up. It took me probably a good 5, 10 minutes to get up out of the car after I drive, because it's about a 30-minute drive to work. Took me that long to get up out of the car and start like loosening up a little to start walking. And even then it was like a gimpy walk, you know, it's like I didn't have much control. I had drop foot and everything like that. And it was just every day, every night, it just continued to progress and get worse and get worse and get worse. So I want to thank God, for one, for bringing these beautiful souls into my life, Chris and Jude Sullivan, because like I said, I was staying in their Airbnb down below, and they had a house on top. So I was staying below, and they knew kind of somewhat about my back issues. And Jude was working with me on some like mobility exercises, stuff like that. And then I went up there to go eat with them one night. They had Axio on the table, and then I took a drink of it. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, this is so good, you know? And they got to telling me about like life advantage and stuff, just a little bit, not like really pushing it on me at all, just kind of like mentioning, oh, this is what we do, blah, 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 et cetera, you know? And then I think it was the next time I went and ate dinner with them. I think it was Thanksgiving or Easter. I don't know. I can't remember. I went to eat with them for something. It might have been Easter. And I think it was about May, possibly, I think, that I got activated, and they brought it upon me again and told me about it. And like the science, like really dove into it, like the science behind it. Cause I was intrigued. I really was. And because I've always been kind of like this supplement junkie, always take this, take that, you know, just whatever I could get my hands on, really. I mean, it's kind of a fan of just being a supplement junkie, really. And they told me about this, and it really struck with me. Like, okay, this is actually something. Like, this is something I want to get my hands on, and I want to see if this works. Because from the get-go, I was a lay down. I really was, for the company and the products and everything, because I seen the benefits behind them without even taking them yet. I seen Chris and Jude. They they do all this exercise, they're active, etc. They live this active lifestyle, and they're healthy. They look healthy. I mean, they're glowing, you know. And you see that a lot with people within LifeVantage, which is insane to me. It still to this day is. And so they brought that upon me and started me off with the Tri-Synergizer at first. And my pain, I'd say, was probably out of a 10, maybe a 15, if not more. It truly was. And I just kept telling God, I was like, man, I wish I would have just had my arm broke or my leg broke or something rather than this, because I couldn't deal with it, you know? And I was just at that real mental low spot. And then when I found this and they brought it upon me, it gave me hope for something. And it brought to me this sense of comfort, like, okay, it will get better, because I've always been told my whole life it's gonna get better. It'll pass, blah, 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 all this and that, you know. And I never believed it, never believed anybody, never believed the doctors. But for some reason, I believed them, and I believed in the products. I don't know why, but I did. I seen the benefits behind it. And so started on those, I'd say probably 2, 3 weeks in, I started seeing improvements, not in my back, but in everything else because I thought I was generally healthy. I felt healthy, you know. I didn't know it could get better. I didn't know because I think at this, like in everybody's stages of life, we think we're healthy, but there's always a better, you know, you can always get healthier, and that's your norm that you think. And it's truly not your norm. I promise you that. And I've heard that from so many people within Life Vantage that their health is just completely done at 360. And when they thought they were healthy before, now they're healthy, you know? And as I get started on the Tri Synergizer and started noticing these little improvements like sleep quality, even though I was in pain, I was getting deep sleep for those couple hours that I was actually. And digestion improved, like, and I'm a welder, so like sometimes I'll be welding and then my hands will just cramp up and seize up and I just drop the welding gun like out of nowhere. And I always thought that was weird, like shake it off and keep going, you know? Don't have that anymore. Didn't have that like 3 weeks into taking the Tri Synergizer, which blew my mind. It really did. And just started seeing all these little improvements like the cognition function and just real focused and dialed in on my work and everything in my workouts and everything that I was doing and my studying and stuff like that. And I'd say about close to a month in, a little over a month, I started seeing the reduction in the pain in my back. And I was like, okay, like that's what I really noticed right there. And regardless, I was at a 15 and I was probably jumped down to like a 11 or something. That was huge for me. It like the scale was so massive that was a big step for me in that. And just started seeing improvements in everything else over and over the course of the time, the more I took it. And now I did get laid off of work for because I was kind of like a health risk to them, I guess you could say, because they knew the situation. So they laid me off and went back home to my little small town in Kansas. Went back home for a while there, recovered, and I ended up having surgery because my back was so bad. I should have paid attention to it a lot sooner, and I wish I had. And I also wish Life Vantage would have got brought to me a lot sooner because I believe that would play a big part in it. And just feeling now to this day, all the improvements in my health, my memory, and literally everything within my health and my health journey and my fitness journey, everything is just skyrocketing because I'm on more products now than just that Tri Synergizer that I was. And I truly believe in this company. And going back to when they um, shared Life Vantage with me, they shared the business opportunity as well. And immediately I signed up for the consultant and I signed up for I believe it's the business package, what it's called. So it has like everything in it. So I'm like, what's a better way to get all the products in one? Just, I mean, be a product of the product, you know? And started taking some of those, gave some away, gave some Axio away to people, and they're like, "What is this? Like, this is better than my energy drinks I'm drinking in the day, you know?" And I'm like, I'm telling them about it, and I'm like, and then each time I'm sharing with somebody or like giving them an Axio, and I get a reply back on, "This is amazing. What is this?" I just know in my head and in my heart, like this is the spot where I'm supposed to be within this company, and I can only grow from here. And I want this company, I want to be in a spot where I can take over my welding career because I see the health risk in about everything now, and I'm pretty anal about everything. Like I'm like a label reader. I see ingredients, nope, put that back, stuff like that, you know. So I'm like real cautious about what I do, and welding is not the healthiest, you know, and there's a lot of health risk to that. So trying to get this to be able to take over for welding and do this full time, which is possible. It is possible for anybody. And I didn't think this was something that could be for me or that I could even do because people hear that network marketing and it scares them. It's don't even think of it like that. You're sharing to help people. Like if they would have never shared Life Vanish to me, Chris and Jude, if they would have never shared that to me, I don't know where I would be at this point. I know dang well that I would not feel this healthy, this energetic, getting this good of sleep, and doing all these things I didn't think I was going to be able to ever do again. It's changed my life for the better, and I could not be more grateful. And
Well,
now I'm
Trey,
here, activated and better than ever.
that's amazing. And you know what? You're 23.
Yep.
I'm going to be 60 in July. I've had some health issues. You know,
Mhm.
I was always active and took really great care of myself. And you know what? Cancer was growing inside of me and I didn't feel it.
Mhm.
And I get this a lot from people are, how long is it going to take before I feel something? Well, you're 23. We always say give it at least a month for every decade you've been alive, and you started feeling it pretty right away.
Yeah.
Granted, your situation was pretty, I don't want to say epic situation for a person your age to have that mental of I'm not so sure I want to live anymore. That breaks my heart,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm so glad that you got over that. I think when you got on the trisynergizer, we get that feeling of happy, the joy that it
Yep.
brings. You know, a lot of anxiety and such goes away. We do have to make sure that we say we don't claim to cure, treat, mitigate any kind of disease, but what we have here is activation, far different than the supplementation, as you know. It's
Correct.
far different. It gets to the root cause of, you know, all of those things that you did. I have a daughter, my middle daughter, who has had back surgery at a very young age and went through a lot of this too. And I saw her go through a lot of the mental things too. And it still breaks my heart. She would have loved to have had a more healthy, a more natural alternative. I wish that she could have. I wish I'd have had this prior to my diagnosis, but that wasn't our story. It wasn't your story either, Trey. So you were out there praying for something, hoping for something, and you'd almost given up. And then someone told you and you listened. A lot of times people aren't willing to listen, especially in this day and age,
Mhm.
because there's so much out there and everybody has something, but it's the experience that matters. We can tell people till they're blue in the face what this can do, but until you swallow those pills, as you know, you won't know until you experience it yourself. And that's entirely up to whoever we talk to. You know, we give them the information and they use that information um, however they want to. But to
Mhm.
me, I'm the same way as you, Trey. I was blown away at the science, at the peer-reviewed studies behind these products that you don't find. I mean, other institutions, renowned institutions who are paying to study our products. LifeVantage doesn't pay for those studies. And what comes out of those studies is just mind-blowing and unbelievable. And there will never be another place that they can get Protandim NRF2.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so, because that is a patented product. And so, you know, Trey, I'm thinking about your story and, you know, you're talking about, well, I take a look at life a little bit different now because I read labels and things like that. Sometimes, you know, I'm the same way. I always thought about, I wonder what it'd be like. But when I got diagnosed with cancer, I woke up every day knowing I had cancer and I'm a cancer survivor now. I do look at things differently. Wouldn't it be great if we could just be proactive all of our lives and do that? I'm so proud of you at age 23 being proactive that way. It's the best insurance premium I pay by being activated and having these products, because then the odds of me getting something else later are far less,
Mhm.
because when you reduce your oxidative stress, your your cells don't get disease, because
Those
oxidative
are
stress is
happy.
what causes disease. So every illness and every um, condition is related to oxidative stress in some form or another.
Mhm.
And so, you know, Trey, I'm just so thankful for you to come and share. It's there's somebody out there who needed to hear this. Do we know if if people are going to have the same experience that you had? We don't know that, and we can't guarantee that. But with all the pharmaceutical drugs, who you take one, it might help with something, but it causes something else, as you know, rebound headaches, things like that. The only side effects from what we have seem to be good side effects. So what would you tell
Yeah.
somebody who was in your situation, Trey? You know, what would you say to them? And what
First,
would you recommend if they like, where would I get started? What would you tell them if they're a little bit intrigued, they're scared of the price, they don't know where to start? What would you
okay.
tell them?
Yeah, good. So I would say first and foremost, be open-minded because I was open-minded to probably the most closed-minded point in my life. I really was. And I figured, yeah, I'll take a listen. I'll be totally 100% open-minded about this when they're sharing it to me and see what it's about, you know? And sure enough, it was something that was supposed to be for me. And I believe it's supposed to be for everybody else as well. And for somebody that's skeptical or on the edge about getting started, whether that be price or anything like that, so was I. I was like, yeah, these are a little more expensive products, I think, maybe, but what's more expensive? Something that you're taking that's not going to work and that you just continually keep buying? That's more expensive because it's not helping you at all. It's got all these fillers, additives, everything else to it that may harm you or your body can't get rid of or digest or anything, you know? And I'd say just be open-minded, forget about the price because of what I said on you're spending all this extra money on other products and everything that aren't helping you or benefiting you whatsoever. And they probably don't have all the peer review studies that we have either and all the science back behind it. And I will say, like I said before, I didn't think I could do this getting into it, but literally everybody can do this. We have so many trainings. We have Zooms like this to share people's stories, sharing testimonials. We have all of what you need, and you have all you need here to get started. It's just a yes or a no. That's all it is. That's what I would
Well,
say.
and the nice thing about that is, Trey, is the people who are listening here. We have a lot of customers here listening, and
Mhm.
very happy customers who've had wonderful experiences. And your story may take them back to, once you start feeling better, you kind of forget how bad you felt.
Exactly.
And I love the fact that you were activated before you had surgery because your recovery from surgery was probably phenomenal. Your doctors
My
were blown away.
my doctors and my mom's, because she's a nurse and she sees scarring and everything like that all day. She's like, "How is your scar already healed like that?" And like, how are you already up and walking without a brace, etc. I'm like, I'm not probably supposed to, but like I felt good. Like my recovery was so fast, and whether regardless of what my doctors told me of how long it was supposed to be, it was much quicker than what it was, and that
Yeah,
was
and we're
amazing.
seeing that. We're seeing that constantly. And my oncologist is blown away that I had horrible scar tissue before activation. And I don't have any anymore. He just always says to me at every annual visit, I can't believe you don't have any scar tissue nor neuropathy in my hands and my feet anymore. So, he always says, keep doing what you're doing. But
Yeah,
he doesn't want to tell other people about it because it's not
yeah,
pharmaceutical drugs, which is fine, whatever. There's a place for medicine, but there is also a place for activation. And I really truly believe we've found that place. And I agree, Trey, we are going to share our favorite movie with people. We're going to share our favorite restaurant with people. And we're not afraid to do that. But in this case, we're a little bit afraid because we don't want people to think we're trying to overstep our bounds in their friendship or whatever,
mhm,
but we do feel an obligation to share what we know, and people can do with that information what they want. And truly, LifeVantage is going to pay someone. So if you have a great experience and you feel like, man, I'd sure like help paying for my products, this would be a way to do that. And it can absolutely be more because I do this full time too. It could absolutely be more. So you're right. There are so
mhm.
many opportunities. We need to share the full menu. We don't need to just share the appetizers, and
Yep.
we need to share the full menu of having the opportunity as well. But that's up to people. Again, we've given that information. But at age 23, Trey, your life took a complete turn, and you love welding. I'm sure you're passionate about it, but you
Mhm.
also see that there's something else. And I will tell you, I do believe you were in the right place at the right time, because at 23 years old, I remembered standing there when you told me how old you were. I thought, wow, he's so well spoken, but you're genuine. And I know that you needed someone to help you, and I know that you're going to be that person for other people too. So it all
Mhm.
starts with sharing your story and telling people. And I know there's people here in my group right now. We can't see your comments, but if you want to comment below and let Trey know, tell him thanks or whatever, or ask questions, I can get those questions to Trey. But somebody out there needed to hear what you had to say today. They needed to hear this. And so I appreciate you taking time out of your day, because I know you're headed to work, hardworking man. A lot easier to work when you feel better. Probably
It
don't miss
is.
much work anymore, and they're not going to lay you off, because I know you're a hard worker. So I hope you have a
Yeah.
wonderful day, Trey, and I hope that everything continues to just go so well for you. I'm glad you stuck around here on Earth for us to hear this story and for you to be blessing other people. So thank goodness for activation.
Yes. Thank you, Sandy, so much for this. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. You have a great day, and the rest of you all have a great day. Make sure you take your activators and your Axio and get with it. See you
Thank you.
later, everyone. Bye-bye.